Greetings, Valley Explorers. Welcome back to our quick guide series. Now that Earthborne Rangers, the card game, has been officially released now for several months, I hope that you are enjoying exploring the Valley and discovering the secrets therein. So for the quick guide today, we are going to look at core game concepts, active versus in play. And we'll start with in play, the most basic of the concepts. In play simply refers to a card that is in the surroundings, along the way, within reach, in a player area, or on a component within those areas. And it doesn't refer to a card that is in your hand, in your deck, in your fatigue stack, or in a discard pile. So this means that cards that you have played or cards that came from the path deck that are on the table are the cards that we're talking about. Cards in play are usually changing pretty frequently, so you have to constantly pay attention to the board state to determine if a card is in play or not. For example, if it is discarded for some reason, such as being cleared. So in play is a basic concept. Now let's look at a very important concept for Earthborne Rangers, and that is active versus inactive. And active cards are cards that are ready in the surroundings a long way within reach of your specific ranger or within your specific ranger's play area. Cards in front of other rangers in their within reach do not count unless you're interacting with them. It's determined by the state of the board. So let's now look at a pretty complicated yet probably common multiplayer scenario. Here we have several rangers grappling with prowling wolfhounds. So let's begin by looking at how many wolfhounds are in play. Well, there's 3. Depending on the ranger in question will determine how many are active versus inactive. So let's now start by asking how many wolfhounds are active. And we can begin with the Masterful Engineer, where we will find ourselves with 2 prowling wolfhounds that are active, one within reach and one along the way. Similarly, we can ask ourselves for the Guardian Ranger. How many prowling wolfhounds are active versus inactive, which will be different from the total in play. First, we have 0 active prowling wolfhounds within reach because the one is exhausted, and we have 1 along the way, the one that was also active for the Masterful Engineer. So now let's look at how this active versus inactive will most frequently be encountered in Earthborne Rangers, and that is when resolving a test for step 5, when trying to decide which challenge effects to resolve. We have to look at active cards only, not inactive or exhausted cards. So let's now pretend that it is Guardian's turn. They are going to make an avoid test using their awareness. They spend 1 awareness energy. They pull their challenge card. They get a +1, which was the minimum necessary to do an avoid test on a prowling wolfhound with its presence of 2. So they succeed. Now let's resolve that test. But now we can ask ourselves, well, what about that crest? How many active prowling wolfhounds does the Guardian have to deal with? They had 1, and now that they've exhausted that 1, they have 0 active prowling wolfhounds. So when they're checking for the crest challenge symbol to resolve challenge effects, they find that they have 0 to resolve. Excellent. This was a very good turn indeed. And now we can look at the Masterful Engineer, who wants to make a traverse test for the location which has a presence of 1. So they commit 2 fitness to the test, giving themselves 2 before they draw their challenge card, but they draw a -1, giving them 1 total effort for a presence of 1, meaning they do succeed. They do not get the dreaded injury, but instead get to apply progress to the location. However, they have 1 active wolfhound, which did, by the way, cause them fatigue off camera. And if we look for the symbols for active versus inactive prowling wolfhounds to resolve, we find that there is an active sun symbol wolfhound to trigger. And in this case, it readies another prowling wolfhound from all of the prowling wolfhounds in play. And since there are a total of 3, with two that are not ready. We have to decide which of the two to ready, and we choose, for whatever reason, the Prowling Wolfhund that was within reach of only the Guardian, who has one more spirit energy, who might be able to connect with the Prowling Wolfhund and maybe put some progress on it. So this has been a brief look at active versus in play, core concepts for the Earthborne Rangers card game. Thank you very much for watching this quick guide video. The channel has been dormant for a while, but now that with the game being out, I hope to explore more aspects of this wonderful game and help provide community content to explore player cards, explore path cards, look at various aspects of the valley, and see where the game takes us. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.